Would you like to reach our film and TV review podcast audience? Do you have a product or service of interest to film and TV home consumers or followers of the entertainment industry? Have a film or show production to publicize? For affordable price plans for all budgets, get in touch and find out about our introductory advertising options. Reach our audience of film and TV viewers and visit our site contact page at filmandtvreview.com, or you can email us at business@filmandtvreview.com. Reach out today. Welcome to filmandtvreview.com. Catch the latest film, TV and streamed show reviews every week. The views and opinions expressed by the authors and those providing comments are theirs alone. They do not reflect the views, opinions or position of filmandtvreview.com or their respective parent companies or affiliates. Filmandtvreview.com makes no representations as to accuracy, completeness, correctness, suitability, or validity of any information in this program and is for entertainment purposes only. Episodes may contain adult humor and language. For full terms and conditions, see filmandtvreview.com.
Welcome back to Film and TV Review. Look back at what's new on streaming and cinema for August. This week, joined by my regular hosts, Richard, James and Andrew. And we're diving into some of the big releases hitting your screens right now. I'll be chatting about the phenomena of Fanboys with the film Stands. And also a look at the modern New York dating scene with Materialists. And also the couple story with maybe a twist in the film Together. Plus, we'll get into the big sci-fi release spectacle of Alien Earth, as well as Stephen King's The Life of Chuck. And of course, finally my favourite worst film of the year, War of the Worlds with Ice Cube. So plenty to cover. Let's jump straight in. Stands, which this is a documentary. This is what to do with Enemans fan base. James, you saw this. Is this a documentary, or I'm guessing it's...
Yes, it is a documentary. So it's kind of to tie in, I suppose, with the 25th anniversary of the song Stan. And the term Stan is in the Oxford English Dictionary as of, I think, 2018. So obviously we know what fan is. A stan is somebody who's sort of even more of a fan. And it's based on a song. So it's sort of Eminem's first big album. It's actually his second album, Slim Shady LP. He's saying a lot of crazy stuff on that album, and even more so on the Marshall Mathers LP from 25 years ago. But there's also a song on it, Stan, where he takes the voice of a fan writing to him, and in 3 verses it gets more and more deranged, and then the final verse it's Eminem answering and sort of saying, this is just artistic expression, it's not really what I believe, but it's inspired by the letters that he has received over the years. So this film has a lot of those letters in, and what they do is they have talking heads of various fans, which I think they did through like an online poll, and they have people speaking to camera. I've got to say, I am a bit of an Eminem fan. I don't know if I'm a stan, but I am a really big fan. And I was like, I don't know if I want to watch this because it seems an odd idea. I'm not sure if it's going to work. But half of it is about his career. And it seamlessly then interweaves these stories of various people from around the globe, obviously a phenomenal sort of recording artist and in terms of his sales. And it infuses their stories and how he's connected with them. And obviously, it's difficult to remember this now because obviously it's a thing that often happens with rappers. They come up from very humble beginnings. But really, in like a lot of his early work, he's talking about being bullied. He still does actually in later work, but he'll talk about that, and that's something that's really connected with people. There's a guy in it who is quite a look-alike character for Eminem, and they've actually met in real life. And I found it pretty good, actually. It was like an hour and 3/4. It was an event cinema ticket in the UK, so you had to go and pay for it as well. But there was other fans in there, and I could tell they were enjoying it. There's a few laughs in there and stuff. It's going to be on Paramount Plus fairly soon, though. But it was quite a good retrospective of his career so far. I think he's resisted these things because he's still current. But the idea of infusing it with these letters and actually sort of looking at the whole thing of fandom, because I thought there's maybe an interesting film to be made here, but I don't know if this film will be able to do it because it's officially licensed. So when you think of the Amy documentary about Amy Winehouse, which was the same team that did the Senna documentary, and that film, regardless of whether you love, hate, or are indifferent to Amy Winehouse, it's a very interesting look at celebrity in the 2000s and what an insane place that is, particularly in the UK, and the sort of press that was around her at the time, which still kind of exists a little bit. Maybe not as much because it's pre-internet and we've got Instagram, and we feel like we've got a peek into people's lives now anyway through social media. But this film does do quite a good job of unpicking some of that. It's very respectful to the fans, but it's also sort of highlighting how intense and crazy that can be. And it's sort of highlighting, there's a moment when it starts highlighting news stories on the screen of like people like Chappelle Roan and people who've had to take out restraining orders against people who are taking it a little bit too far. But it's about that connection that audiences feel with artists, I think. And it does that pretty well. So, and obviously you get a lot of Eminem songs to it, not as many as you'd think. There's a moment when they keep putting lyrics on screen. It's like you could just play the song. Surely you've got this is officially licensed. Surely you would have the rights to do that. But and there's some unseen footage as well. So there's some stuff that I've never seen before, which I mean it's stuff around his friend Proof, who was a member of D12, who was killed in around about 2005, 2006. And there's some footage of him doing shows afterwards, which I've never seen, where he looks very withdrawn, and he sort of famously, went into rehab around that time. But yeah, I thought it was a pretty interesting documentary if you're a fan of Eminem. If you're not, possibly not so much. But yeah, that stands in cinemas at the moment and on Paramount Plus soon.
Okay, Paramount Plus. Okay. Next, quickly, Andrew, you saw Together, which is again back in the thriller horror kind of genre. This I think I saw trailers. It's like a couple on a retreat or in a countryside retreat, and they turns into a kind of a body horror thing. Dave Franco in this, I think. Did you? Is this on Netflix or?
It was in cinemas.
Oh, it's in cinemas.
Oh, well, I don't know if it got. I don't know. It's international because it's from Neon.
Yeah, it's out. It's out this Friday officially, but I've seen it as a preview screening a few weeks ago. Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah. What the premise, if I'm right, was that is this what the horror genre? I'm guessing again, or thriller?
Yeah, it's from Neon. It's the same studio that did Long Legs last year and The Monkey earlier this year. So it's without going into too much detail on this, there was some kind of controversy before the film because there was a lawsuit. I think it may still be ongoing. I'm not entirely sure. But that aside, this film is, I guess, say body horror, maybe some dark humor and relationship drama. So you have this couple in the film played by a real life couple, Dave Franco and Alison Brie. And in this film, they're not a married couple. They're dating and they're living in the city. And I guess they want to move to a more rural area to maybe kind of salvage something. And I guess the idea is that Dave Franco's character kind of wants to do more of a music career. He kind of wants to do his own thing, and Alison Brie's character wants to be more committed to the relationship, and so they go to to this rural area, and there's a prologue that kind of sets things up for what's going on, and then there's also a bit of a backstory regarding Dave Franco's character and his parents and stuff that was going on there. That being said, the two main characters, the two protagonists, go for a hike, and something happens, and things start to take a turn. At the same time, they have this more grounded dilemma of the relationship and that going forward, and then how do you deal with this new development and supernatural goings on. And I thought it was I generally kind of appreciated the film for taking this kind of relationship thing and then having this situation happen, and how do you deal with that, and then how do you deal with things going forward. And there's also some little nods to I guess the Spice Girls, I think, but I'm not gonna but I think overall the film is good. I just feel like in terms of the ending, I'm not going to spoil, but I'm just trying to think, how's that going to work? And then certain things are kind of mentioned, but if that's the case, then isn't that like a plot hole or plot whatever? So I think it's something I enjoyed seeing once, but if I were to see it again, I'd be like, well, wait a minute. And then how come this and how come that? Once you figure out what's going on, does that work a second time? I'm not going into the whole real life lawsuit that's going on, because that's a whole separate issue.
Right.
I don't know.
Okay then, James, what did you? Seemed a bit perplexing, but a bit reaction there. What about you? Did you?
Yeah, I thought it started slow, and I thought it got much better in the middle act. And I'm with you, Andrew. I kind of towards the end it felt like it sort of fell apart. It also, I might even direct message you that what I'm talking about, but it really, the whole film didn't remind me of something, but the ending, they do something at the end. I was like, oh, this is really like another really big horror of recent years. As soon as I'd say the name, everyone will know what it is, even if they haven't seen it. And it doesn't do it as well. And it's not doing that for most of it. And then it does this thing at the end. It's like, the lawsuit that you mentioned, so apparently there's a shorter film, which is a comedy. I don't know because I haven't seen it. I would suggest that maybe the idea isn't as unique as both parties think it is. So the idea of like, this sort of guy who seemingly doesn't really want to commit, but she wants to commit, and then there's this sequence where they kind of fall through into this hole, and they seem to be sticking together slightly. I thought it was good. I did enjoy watching it, particularly that middle section, and the trailer makes it look really horrific. There's a sequence that makes it look like The Loved Ones, which is an Australian film, and they do that thing in the trailer where you don't see anything, but you can tell what's being done is absolutely unspeakable. When you watch that scene in the film, it's actually sort of played for laughs a little bit, which took me by surprise. And half of the audience were laughing, and I could tell that half of the rest of the audience were really annoyed because they wanted to treat this seriously. But I think it's deliberately meant to be funny the longer it goes on. And I think the two performances in it are really, really good. Actually, kind of three, because there's a third character who's like her tutor, who sort of becomes more. Yeah, as that goes on, he was pretty good actually. So I did enjoy it, but I think I'm the same as you, Andrew. I would be cautious about watching it again, because I think if I rewatch it, I'll spot everything that's wrong with it. But I thought as a like Monday night horror movie, so I saw it as a preview with other horror heads. It seemed to go down okay, and it was pretty fun. But it might be one that's worth waiting for and streaming.
Yeah, so the other film is called Better Half, and I'm not sure where one can find it, but again, that's all.
So I did add it to my watch list, but it's not an easy film to find, and that makes me wonder if a lawsuit happens, they would have to maybe prove that they've seen that film. There's also an argument that artists do still make work better. Yeah.
I think they met with the filmmaker from the other film some years ago. So I think
right, okay, that's interesting then. That's not in their favor, I would imagine, yeah.
Yeah, but again, I don't know. That's my understanding. So there is some merit, but again, it's not. I don't know all the details. That's my understanding. So,
Great, thanks. Well, according to my alarm, it's been 20 minutes since we mentioned Pedro Pascal, so I think we're due for another mention.
Who? I've not heard that
Next,
actually.
it's comedy, romantic comedy, dating comedy, situation comedy, Materialists. I think Chris Evans, Pedro Pascal, and Dakota Johnson. I think a backdrop of the New York dating scene. Looks like a big romantic comedy, which used to do well in the cinemas back in the day. Richard, James, you saw this. You had your ice cream and your popcorn, and you went to see this. I'm guessing at the cinema, or is
Not
this on
together. Not
streaming?
together. We didn't know.
No, not
Um,
together.
Together.
Ah,
I
you.
wouldn't say. I wouldn't say it's a rom com. Although I think it's maybe deliberately been marketed as such. So it's from Celine Song, who did Past Lives, which I think we all really enjoyed a few years ago.
Perfect movie.
I was a fantastic film. If you haven't seen it, I was a little bit anxious about this because I thought it can't be as good as that, and it isn't. But it was much. I thought it was much better than I was expecting. So I thought actually this might not work at all. But I found that it completely held my attention. So Dakota Johnson is this sort of she's a matchmaker. So she's somebody who's setting up sort of wealthy people with other people, and it's sort of like a dating agency, but almost like offering a bit of a sort of much more of an in-depth interview than I think you get at one of those things, you know. And then we get these. So Pedro Pascal comes into her life, who apparently needs to be made with somebody else, but starts hitting on her, which is in the trailer. And then we see as well that she's still friends with Chris Evans, her ex. So this is Madam Web, Captain America, Mr. Mr. Fantastic, and it's basically Avengers Past Lives is what we're talking about, isn't it? But I thought that they're really good in it. And you see in flashback that they were together and they've sort of broken up because that money seems to have been a bit of an issue for them. And I don't want to go too much into it, but I thought there were and ruin like the whole movie. But yeah, I thought it was really good. It's one of those films like people don't talk in this film like they do in real life, but that's not me putting the film down. This is how people would express themselves in relationships if they could perfectly express themselves all the time, which they don't. And I thought those scenes worked really well. And Celine Song is from a theatre background and stuff like that. So there's a bit of a theatre feel to some of the dialogue, but I think that the cinematography is fantastic in it. I couldn't even tell you how long the film is. I just felt I was completely sort of engaged in it throughout. And yeah, I thought it was much better than I was expecting. There was a moment where I looked around, I could see couples in the cinema. I was like, I don't know if you want to watch this film in a couple, because there's some pretty brutal dialogue, like brutally honest dialogue at times. A bit like with Together, though, actually. But yeah, I thought it was pretty good. What did you think of it, Richard? Were you a fan or not?
It's not obvious, but you have to talk about Past Lives as well, because actually she only made 2 movies, by the way, so far. You're right, she only was she was doing plays before. And both of them are definitely not rom-com, more romantic dramas in my opinion, but in a way, although it's not as good as Past Lives, which is, for me, it's almost a perfect romantic movie. The good thing about The Materialists is that, again, she's the director, Celine Song, she's able to understand, in my opinion, what love should look like on screen. And that's actually a huge compliment I can make, because there are so many stupid romantic stuff that you can see in the history of cinema. Some things that are completely unrealistic, or things that just are there just for you to dream about, etc. Okay, but when you've seen like 1,000 times this, what's the point? Here with The Materialists, what James was saying about it is that through the journey of Dakota Johnson character, you see what relationship look like in 2025. So I was thinking, I think I messaged that when I watched it. In a way, I'm thinking perhaps in the future, 10, 15 years in the future, in schools, people will watch this movie like to study it, and they will understand actually how romantic relationship look like an historical artifact, how relationship look like in 2025. This is, for me, well, obviously it's a movie, so if you remove the last 10 minutes with spoiler alert, it's a very happy ending in a way. Much more Hollywood happy ending than Past Lives, by the way. But if you remove these 10 last minutes, that maybe are the least interesting part of the movie, everything else for me looked, unfortunately, it looked extremely real. The idea that she's a matchmaker and that actually that she sees people, man, woman, whatever, like a product with plus and minus. Wealth, okay, you are plus 10. You poor, minus 10. You are good looking 6 foot tall guy, you are plus 50, etc. And it almost looks ridiculous sometimes, but this is how ridiculous also, in my opinion again, how actually the dating world nowadays look like sometimes. So in a way, she's just, unfortunately, she's very accurate. And I have a feeling that, and I can see, not being mean, but I can see, fortunately, a lot of positive reviews online, but also some people online saying, oh, they were disappointed. I want actually, it was not just reality in their face, but actually struck in their face and they say, okay, maybe actually they didn't want to see some of the things.
Yeah.
There is some scenes, again, it's Pedro Pascal, so obviously he's a good looking guy, but Pedro Pascal, again, spoiler, I say it twice, he is, there is a scene that in my movie theater, it was packed, by the way, most people laughed at that scene, and I was thinking, this is actually, I'm not surprised. The guy is very wealthy, she called him a unicorn because he's perfect, he's a 10 out of 10, physically, he's a billionaire, etc., whatever. But we learn in the movie that he used to be, I'm talking French, sorry. He is like 1.85 meter tall, which is a very tall guy. But he used to be, apparently, 165, which is very small for a guy, or 160 or something like that. And because he's so much money, he's so rich, he did some surgery to get taller.
Yeah.
By the way, like in Gattaca, my favorite movie, but nothing to do with this. Anyway, but yeah, he got taller, 20 centimeters more. And he explains that by showing her, etc., that a guy who is 1.6 meters tall will never had a chance with Dakota Johnson. And people laugh at that scene. And I was thinking, well, that's actually probably true for a lot of people who actually are men who are shorter than usual, let's say, or the normal. And true for people who are not as wealthy as, etc., people we can see online, etc. So there are some scenes like that might be ridiculous, sometimes stupid dialogues about Dakota Johnson talking about, as I said, guys and girls, or even girls when they meet Dakota Johnson character, or guys as well, and they list their expectations. There is, I think, a scene super funny where there's someone actually was like 100 different skills, let's say, like a role-playing game, 100 skills that the perfect man should have, and then Dakota Johnson is almost desperate. So this is the world we live in, and that's why actually I think that Selling Stone definitely got it right, and that's the second time in a row that she does that about romance. So that's why I can only praise her. She's such an interesting director, and I cannot wait for the third one. Let's say maybe it will not be in the same genre, but still very interesting movie. As James said, I didn't feel bored at all. I thought it was very interesting. But yeah, for that final note, it's kind of hard to believe that guys who are so good looking, like Chris Evans, Dakota Johnson, and Pedro Pascal, are single in New York. But anyway, in the beginning of the movie, but who knows?
Okay. Thanks for that. Right. Next, one of the big titles that was announced from a new series on the huge Alien franchise is Alien Earth. think it's Hulu, Disney series, pretty big production value, kind of based, kind of like maybe a couple of years just before the first movie, Alien, from the 1979 movie by Ridley Scott, the classic Alien horror, which started off the franchise. Alien Earth picks up, yeah, around that same timeline. Yeah, I think with themes of AI and xenomorphs. It's I think it's probably the first two episodes came out recently. Very anticipated and maybe dreaded, considering now maybe because 20th Century Fox is under Disney now, wondering what kind of treatment they'll get. James, Andrew, you both saw this. I was quite impressed by this. I mean, production looked brilliant. What did you think, James?
I mean, I wasn't too trepidatious because actually Disney have done okay with the Alien and Predator franchises so far. Obviously, with the long-running franchise, it's always like wait and see if they can put a foot wrong. But I really approached this the way I have with Alien Romulus, where I think I saw the trailer once and I was like, okay, it's happening. I'm used to being disappointed in this franchise. Alien, one of my top 3 films of all time. So I'll just watch it when it comes out, but try and have no expectations, which was difficult in the last few days because reviews have started to drop, telling you how great this is. And actually, the thing that I really liked about Romulus, just to set this up, is that at the time I said that there's so many films that were trying to do something different because Aliens did something different, although arguably it just did something bigger on a sort of larger canvas. And that has never really worked particularly well. And with Romulus, they just went back and went, what works about those first 2 films? Let's do that. And they do that for most of it. They set up the characters, they do that. And then at the end, they kind of do their own thing because they can. They've sort of earned the right to do it here. Obviously, this is going to be 8 episodes, so you're going to have to do something different. So we've only seen 2. This is very difficult to review something this early on, but obviously you're going to be telling a much larger story. So this starts with a deep space research vessel, which is very similar to the Nostromo in the first film, with a crew who you can kind of tell who each member of the crew, what their role is compared with the people in the first film. So there's a father and son, it seems to be, who are talking. You go, oh, that's like Brett and Parker from the first film. They're the kind of engineers or whatever on the vessel. And it's clear that they're on a mission to bring back some specimens. That is said by a character who seems a bit like Ash or something. I think when the film starts, when the show starts as well, I mean, it just says FX Presents, but it does it in that lettering from the computer. And I was like, I love this already.
Yeah.
It feels like you're in that world, and Romulus did that as well. So although we're in the future, the tech is still from the sort of futuristic tech that they invented for the 1979 movie. That's a really good way of starting the film. See, it's so difficult to not say film with this because we're so used to Alien being a film. But you then, after you sort of settled into that on the Nostromo type spaceship, we're taken to Earth, where we see a place where there's a very sick girl, and she's terminally ill, and she's basically been told by this company, and we've been told there are 5 companies, really big companies that sort of rule, basically the globe in the future. There is a company, and they are earmarking this girl to be the first person who they transplant or transition into a synthetic body. So, and these are called hybrids rather than true synths like we see with Ash in the original film. And I don't want to sort of ruin it from there, but then that happens, and she is now in a body that she calls Wendy, played by a different actress. So she's a child, but she's in a human body. There were moments in it that really reminded me of Ex Machina, like just that sort of like the whole vibe of it. I always think of, RoboCop, Terminator, Alien as the holy trinity of adult sci-fi. That's what I call it. Yeah. But actually, I mean, Alien and Aliens, there's a lot of robot stuff in it, as much as there is in, maybe not as much as RoboCop and Terminator. And that seems to be much more of a through line here, that they're going to explore that, the companies, the characters. and it goes in some different maybe areas, but I think they're probably just things they're going to look at more in depth. So the thing that we said about the first film is it's truckers in space. There are these very sort of blue collar workers, and as the film goes on, they're talking about what are my chances as Dallas types into the computer, and it says the crew are expendable because the company is just interested in getting these things back, and that's always in the background really, but we never see massively those, that corporation. I think that's going to come out more in these films or in these episodes that we get. And there's a moment in the second film where they knock on someone's door, and it's answered by someone who's almost like in Georgian style dress, and you kind of go, yeah, this is this. I think actually, if that was in one of the films, people might react badly to that. But it's like, yeah, actually, probably the world that we're in, there's this real disparity in wealth that has created people at the top. We've got Alex Lawler's character can't even get signed off for some holiday, but you've got this really decadent, maybe society that are living there as well. So yeah, Alex Lawler's introduced maybe in episode 2. I think it was the right thing to drop 2 episodes in one go because there is not much of the alien in episode 1, and it's one of those things you can't have it just the alien on the screen all the time. You've got to kind of try and set up some story. But I think I'm there already. I kind of really liked the vibe of where it's going. I think having had Romulus almost do like a greatest hits version of Alien, I'm kind of ready to expand it out and maybe see some of the stuff that we have maybe touched on in the comics and the novelizations over the years, or the novel offshoots and the video games. So there were also some short films I think they did for the 40th anniversary or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's also some new creatures in this, which they did announce. And actually, it's funny because when I used to watch the first Alien film as a kid, I used to think, oh, the company have just stumbled upon this creature and they're like, we want that. But it would make sense that they've been doing that for years and they're just looking for things. So there's this creature in it which is almost like a big tick. You don't realize that's what it is, but it sucks blood out at a rate much faster than the tick. And there's some really good gross out moments in it, but some good character moments. Lovely to see Aid Edmondson, who is like a comic hero of mine from The Young Ones and Bottom, but he's a really, really good straight actor. And I hope he continues to have a good role in this. Alex Lawler from The End of the Effing World, which is not what it's called, but I know you have to edit me if I don't call it by its real name. So yeah, I'm kind of excited to see where this goes. So I'm looking forward to this on dropping every Wednesday, and then I think when this finishes, Gen V Series 2 starts. So my Wednesdays are sorted for the rest of the year. Happy.
It's definitely, yeah, when you say vibe, yeah, it hasn't reinvented the future. It is kept to that aesthetic, which looked good then, but it's kind of, it's that world and recognizable straight from the bat. But the through line to expand it to a world, it actually just does it well. It was reminding some scenes of almost like Blade Runner, where you've got this different social classes, a 1920s look, a 1940s look, and so forth. It's very rich character details in there. And I was looking at my watch, even the first episode, it felt like, oh, have they done an hour and a half? Because so much happens, or you're so engrossed in it. And I'm thinking, oh, they must. And I looked, and it's just an hour. And you're thinking,
the thing with the children seems really sinister, but like in a good way. Do you know what I mean? Because actually, when it started, I was like, oh no, am I more interested in this than the other stuff? But there was a moment where I was like, but is this going to be scary when I'm watching it at home as well? Spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen it, but there was a moment where they're playing with height. So there's a bit where someone they're looking at how deep a drop is. And that raises a bit of kind of vertigo in me or whatever it is. And I'm like, oh, that's really tense. And that's the moment they choose to drop the alien in. And you're like, oh my God, they've really thought about this. This is really what. There's also some really good stuff in this. I will stop. I'm going to love this. I know this is going to be one of my things. But there's some moments which they do really well in Aliens, and they haven't really always gone back to. Which is there's a moment when they do a shot, and the alien is in shot, but you don't realize it. It's there, and it's kind of obscure because it's black, and it's kind of got that biomechanical thing. you don't realize that you're looking at it, and then they go to another shot and they come back, and then the background moves, and they do that on a few occasions.
Yeah.
It's very very well done. There's also there's lots of close-up shots that you kind of get at the start, which are slightly disorientating, which really reminded me of the cinematography in Alien 3, David Fincher's Alien 3. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. They've dropped that in there as well. So, yeah, I mean, feel free to say that you hate it, guys, but I'm kind of really on board for this. Where is this going to go? And I think the more I get into the characters, the more it will just be, I like these characters, and every now and then they drop an alien in. So
that was the intriguing thing. It was the characters, which it does starts off heavy in the characterization, but you're looking at AI, but you're looking at characters or our version of ourselves or modified versions, and it's very intriguing. And you almost forget we are in a horror alien territory, but very good balance here. So yeah, very, very pleased, surprisingly pleased. Andrew, you saw this. You did you? Was it as fresh, or did you find, yeah, because there's not really much surprises because if you know the world, but were you impressed by the series? Is it something you'd actually continue watching? It's only 2 episodes. Did you see both 2 episodes?
Well, yeah, and it's interesting because James mentioned the Georgian costume party, and it kind of reminded me of this scene in a sequence in this movie called High Rise with Tom.
High Rise, yeah.
Had characters who were dressed up in those kind of period costumes, so in kind of a similar setting too, which is kind of interesting. Yeah, it took me a little while to get into this because I'd heard a lot of really, really good things about it before, and so we have the opening of the first episode where they're on this deep space vessel, and it's similar to the Nostromo, but a different ship, and they're wearing similar outfits, similar style, similar kind of getup, and they're having breakfast, similar kind of situation, and then after that, things kind of take a turn. And then you're focusing on a new group of characters, and it just took me a while to get into. And things seemed a little trippy early on, and I was wondering about that. And it's from the same showrunner as the show called Legion, and that was like really trippy. But that was because of the way that show was and the way it works for those characters. So after a bit, and I got into a little rhythm. Then I appreciate it a little bit more and what they were doing and focusing on the aspect of, there's all these AI, different types of AI, cyborg, synth, and hybrids, and getting used to that. And, that's what's really going on. There's all these different companies doing all these different things with technology. You know about Wayland Yutani from the films. Then there's this company called Prodigy, and that seems to be the focus for the series, is Prodigy, and the head of this company, Prodigy, and he's sort of this boy Cavalier,
Wonder Kid, trillionaire.
Yeah, sort of like a younger version of Bill Gates or whatever you want to XP you want to do it. So it took me a little while to get into it as much. I liked the second episode better than the first because once they got all the stuff out of the way for the first episode, then they could get into like the plot, the meat of it, as it were, or the really get into it. And I really appreciate what's going on and really got into it, especially with the second episode. Not just seeing what the xenomorph was up to, but all these other little killer critters, and also the idea of what the company's really going at it, trying to get into the technology, and Prodigy versus Wayland Yutani, what they were up to. I'm still kind of curious how they're going to work it with what you see with the films and the idea that, this stuff was on Earth before, and how's that going to work? So I think I have an idea, but I just, curious to see how they're going to work it and have it not contradict anything that we've seen before. So, as I said, I think I have an idea, but, yeah, I'll see where it takes us and where the plot goes. So, yeah, no, I mean, there's definitely a lot there and a lot going on, and a lot of different species that are being introduced. So, but
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, it does seem kind of purposely expansive. So, I mean, the first episode kind of remind me of the first movie, a mini version of that, and then the second one, the Rescue Team, a mini version or intro of the second movie. But it's wondering what they'll do over the 9 episodes. It's kind of like because we have these very successful movies, different genres, horror in the first one and Alien, and then action kind of in the second one, and maybe the third and fourth one more the company politics. But
and, and
it's
also I found that one of the things that threw me off a little bit, but I guess maybe now I'm used to it, is that Sydney Chandler looks kind of like Catherine Waterston, or maybe like a younger version. Maybe that's intentional. I also think it's kind of interesting because both of them are actresses whose parents were in the entertainment industry or were actors. So that's just maybe a coincidence, but just the idea that the physical similarity between the two actresses, Sydney Chandler and Catherine Waterston, but I wonder if that's maybe intentional. Maybe we'll see. So.
yeah, it's I'd be interested to see so it's coming out weekly, which is good. I'm glad because I found it's a lot to take in within one episode or 2 episodes. I know why they released both episodes, but it was like you want to really a bit more savor it because there's so much world building happens, which you don't we haven't had so much already. I think in sci-fi, I think it's good that they're able to layer that. So a lot of the stuff that's delved through in the comics and all that over the decade. So I think it looks good footing actually. So from what I see, so. Yeah, very, very pleased so far, and I think it'll be an enjoyable series. I hope, actually. So I think so. I just hope they don't do any DH cameos for some reason. I just please don't. Right, well that is Alien Earth. Next, just to change the tone, a Stephen King adaptation for Mark Hamill, The Life of Chuck, which looks like kind of like a feel-good movie and almost in the Forrest Gump version. That's my impression of it. James, did you get the good feels of The Life of Chuck? A very heartwarming, film here.
Yeah, so I mean, a really good cast: Chiwetel Ejiofor, Karen Gillan, Mark Hamill, Jacob Tremblay, Tom Hiddleston. The list goes on. I think this might be one of those films you start to see less of as well, with like casts of this size, because they must be quite expensive to assemble. And I think a lot of Stephen King stuff has been adapted. I know he's very prolific. And I haven't read this. When it started, so it's presented in 3 acts basically, and it starts with quite a funny sequence. Well, the other thing is it starts with Act 3, so it says Act 3, and then you get the end of the story, which is Chiwetel Ejiofor is a teacher, and the internet has gone down, and we're in the sort of end of days basically. And I was like, I'm going to like this. This is sort of right up my street, a bit of a apocalypse. I think this is going to be good, and it seemed quite sort of darkly funny as well. And I really enjoyed that first act. We then go back and we see Chuck, the character of Chuck, played by Tom Hiddleston, as a grown-up guy, and there's like a busker playing the drums, and he like walks through and starts dancing. I was like, that's kind of cool. I'm into this. I did find though the sequence went on for so long, and I don't mind a musical, but the thing that you accept in a musical is that people just do burst in song and dance, and there's no explanation for it. Or like in Joker, Folie à Deux, where basically it's all dream sequences, so they're in his head. But in this, it's presented as a real thing, and you go, well, this guy's dancing incredibly, incredibly well. And it's not so much that, because he then just picks somebody else out and they do it, and it goes on for a very, very long time. I just found myself thinking, I don't really care about this character. don't. They haven't given me a reason to care. And I found that the voiceover all the way through was very invasive, and I sort of it made me think actually that I don't mind the voiceover in Blade Runner. Like even the moment that we always talk about in Blade Runner where he goes, "I don't know why he's crying," like for the Tears in Rain speech. I was like, well, actually, that's always like, could Deckard be a replicant because he's doing that? In this, it just feels like they haven't adapted the book very well. It felt to me like, is this all told from the third person? They've kind of gone, we must do a faithful adaptation by keeping all the dialogue in. Mark Hamill has a scene where he says the same thing over and over again, and I really started to lose my patience with it. I'm kind of aware I might be being really unfair to the movie, but I felt like it finished. And sometimes when a film says directed by so and so, people sit there and they take a bit of it in and they think about it. As soon as that come up, everybody left their seats like they've been waiting to leave for 2 hours. And it was sort of all right, but I felt like the acts got less and less interesting. And it seemed to me the message of the film was, oh, life, yeah, enjoy life. It's like, yeah, I don't need to sit here for 2 hours to be told to enjoy life, thank you. I usually enjoy life. I don't need this preachy film telling me, oh. And I just thought it feels like if it come out later in the year, it would be classic Oscar bait type thing because it's got everybody in it. Everybody's doing their best. It's got this ambient score, like you're listening to a meditation playlist on Spotify. Oh, this film! This is one of my worst films of the year. I hate it.
Oh, okay. Didn't touch your heartstrings then. It sounds very mawkish then, maybe for a UK audience.
You hurt my feelings.
Because
I'm sorry, Richard. I did actually look. I don't know, right? I looked and so it's quite well received.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
3.7. I do think though with adaptations, and particularly with Stephen King, people have this thing of it's got to be faithful. It's got to be faithful, and I'm always like, an adaptation has to work in the medium it works in. So it chapter 1 is fine. It chapter 2 as a film is one of the worst films I've ever seen because it has no concept of what a film is. And I'm sure everybody who's read the book says, oh, but it's so faithful. Good for you. It was a nightmare to watch. This was better.
Wow. Okay.
God, hang on. I've got to stop ranting because I've got to keep saying in for War of the Worlds.
Well, yeah, I was thinking, if you did enjoy that, then you're not in for much of a good ride for the rest of this episode because under huge word of mouth for the wrong reasons, come to this adaptation, another classic sci-fi story, or was a classic, War of the Worlds with Ice Cube. Now, I think that should have been put in the title because it would have told you everything, but this is a brave, no expense spared reimagining of the classic novel War of the Worlds. Those who haven't read it, it is basically an invasion story. Martians or aliens come in tripods or mechanical devices and invade, well, back then London, but here we're in Washington, D.C. and all over the US. It comes down to maybe, well, it's a huge action movie where we have Ice Cube or Ice, yeah, who works in the I guess it's in the government information where he just kind of like gathers information from cams and so forth, but he's the right place, who's the wrong man or the right man in the wrong place at the right time where he's witness to a huge alien invasion which is encompassing the globe, and he's joined by other workers or information agents from the comfort of their phone or laptop and witnessing this, and somehow via the power of Microsoft Teams and Amazon Prime and
And
WhatsApp
Zoom,
come together.
WhatsApp.
WhatsApp and Prime, in case you didn't, you might have not catched, maybe that it plays a vital role in saving humanity. I haven't missed anything there. It sounds spectacular. I mean, probably, Richard, Were you expecting good things, or how did you
No, but
discover War of the Worlds on Prime, and why did you make me watch it?
for the record, okay, I watched it intentionally, knowing it would be terrible. But that being said, honestly, I want to thank whoever, I think his name is Richie Lee or something like that, the guy who directed this thing. I want to thank him because I can't remember the last time. It's even worse than Moonfall. I can't remember the last time that I laughed so much about the movie because I laughed while watching while I was watching it. I laughed afterwards. I laughed during the night, and I was laughing and I'm talking in the train to go to work the day after while thinking about things. People thought I was crazy probably because I was just laughing with no reason whatsoever. So
Yeah, I have a confession. I
it's
almost want
kind
to
of
watch it again, Richard.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
honestly, yeah. I watch sometimes just for fun. I just watch scenes of it because it's so funny. I mean, there are a lot of scenes edited where on YouTube you can find all the Ice Cube's memes all together. You know, it says, "Oh my God, damn it! Oh no! This is how he plays. I'm a terrible actor, but that's Ice Cube level."
But that's
It's
as good as
oh
delivering.
no, go ahead.
Because I'm probably
And
wondering, is it as bad? Because you really hear about it because you hear how bad it is, and you've got like a 2.7 rating on IDBM and
no, no,
then
no, no, no,
a
no, no.
0% on Rotten Tomatoes. I said, well, nothing's that bad. And then is it intentional? I said,
And yes, it
well,
is.
it's played
And yes, it is.
straight. That's
Yes,
the
it is.
amazing thing.
Yeah. That's the craziest part. Is that actually when you see something, I think you discussed about this in the chat with James. You have something at 3% on Rotten Tomatoes or 5% or whatever, a terrible score. You might think, oh, come on, it's just like a lot of people actually are just being mean or whatever.
Yeah.
In the case of War of the Worlds, it's true. They reach that level. They have been reached the bottom of what a movie can be called a movie, I guess. I mean, it's the worst movie. I'm trying to think of the worst movie I've seen on TV or cinema, except the Asylum productions. But the Asylum movies are supposed to be made bad. I mean, it's their all.
Their
What do you say?
stick. Yeah. Their stick. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's their
their
part of
whole
their,
thing.
part
They
of their
know that
fun.
it's
They're
bad,
in
and they
on the
just make
joke.
fun of
In on the
real
joke.
movies.
Yeah.
I'm sure because I read online that it's Timur Bekmambetov, the Russian producer and director, who is behind this project, A War of the Worlds. That guy is actually a serious guy. He did Wanted with Angelina Jolie, for example.
Oh.
And
So
James McAvoy. I think it's him.
yeah, that would look
He's a serious.
nice,
He's a serious. He
expensive.
did.
Yeah, good effects in it,
Yeah, he did.
reasonable.
Back in the day, he did two or three movies in Russian that I actually watched back in the day, like 20 years ago, called Night Watch and Day Watch. They
I've
were
seen that.
amazing
That's very
sci-fi
good. Yeah.
sci-fi stuff. He's a serious director, so I
It
have
was,
no idea what he
yeah.
was
Well,
thinking
what's
with this.
happened?
I have
Yeah,
no
I
idea.
can't even believe that's the same director because those titles were, yeah, I've seen those as well. Very good effects in all of
Yeah,
them. Very good.
he
What do you
wanted. I
think?
think it looked like in an interview he said he wanted to show that a good movie could be made during COVID. Well, it looks like you cannot do a good movie during COVID. Thank you, Timur.
Wow. Okay. What do you think the budget was of this? Bearing in mind, most of the action is done by sitting at a desk and you're watching it via a
I, I
screen.
don't think I don't think the budget was that great. But that being said, since it's an Amazon exclusive, and there's like 70% of the movie it's Amazon product placement, I don't think
I didn't spot that. I
this
didn't spot
movie
the product
makes a lot
placement.
of. I mean, it doesn't cost a lot of money. There is so much product placement. I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah,
So many
yeah.
times they talk about Amazon.
Well, do you want to know what the budget was? Do you want to
I do.
guess? I do.
I go ahead. Go ahead.
Richard, give me a guess. How much would you think this film cost?
I don't know. $2 million maximum.
Oh, nearly. You're $65 million.
What?
65 million dollars.
Apparently. Where did it go? That was according to the Hollywood
That
Reporter.
50 million went to Ice Cube since
No.
he's the only actor in this movie.
Well, he does carry the movie. I mean, it's
65 million.
because it looked like I thought it was an experiment to see, let's do something. But I'm guessing they had to save money because they'd already spent 1 billion on the Lord of the Power of the Ring. So I think, what have you got left? So I thought it was that, but yes, 65 million apparently. Um,
Where
where
did
did
it
it
go? I
go?
mean,
I don't know. I don't
it's
know.
worse than Andor costing 650 million.
Wow.
Because Andor was also a mystery. Here, where do you see the CGI are terrible. The CGI of the 3 point thing aliens look like a video game from the PS2 era. Uh,
Yes, it looks like a yeah, yeah.
the wallpaper screen behind Ice Cube was ridiculous. It was seriously ridiculous.
That was supposed to be his office, actually. I don't think it was even
Yeah, yeah.
wallpaper. It was yeah, it's I don't know. I don't it's I thought it was genuine an experiment how you can make something as cheap as possible and then just do a narrative. But considering it's Amazon, 65, I thought maybe they'd put a bit more money into it,
I
but who
mean,
knows?
honestly, I think there should be already a list online of all the stupid moments of this movie. But it's like every 5 minutes. I think the Oscar of the worst moment in cinema history is when actually they try to ship something using an Amazon drone, and then
Oh
the
yes.
Yeah,
drone the
have
drone
them all.
the drone falls down next to a homeless guy, and they try to bribe him by giving him an Amazon
Give voucher.
card of $1,000. And I was thinking, what? And he said, give him free internet. To be a homeless guy. So, what?
Hey Richard, what was the motive of the aliens? What did they want? What were they after?
They want to steal our most important resource. Apparently,
It's
Amazon Amazon thinks that our most important resource on Earth is data.
is our browsing
Data.
history,
They just,
yes.
Yeah,
they wouldn't have.
yeah. Not
Um,
water, not air,
not
not the
water.
atmosphere. Data.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah.
I
Yeah,
think it is a warning to us all. Please put your VPNs on. Well, to be fair, I might watch it again because as a feel good, when I feel maybe a particular, I want something familiar and cozy and warm, maybe I'll watch that. So maybe it might make its money back.
Is it going to be the new like
the
new
room.
room?
I
The
think
room,
it's
yeah.
the
Like people
room.
go
Uh,
and
I think it's the level. I
uh,
think it's the level of the room.
yeah.
I think the room is better than this, and seriously, much better. I think
yeah.
because that does explore motive and psychological trauma, and it's all done almost. I think the effects are better in the room than here, and that's not a sci-fi thing, but the special effects, the scenery, it's tangible. So, I would say that's better. Here it is like I've just given you a project, you've got a week, use a screensaver and just one camera pointed at you via a screen.
Was
And I want you to make
was
a
like
film.
was Ice Cube's fee $65 million, and that was what it was.
I don't
That's
know
where
if
the
you could
budget.
command that, but maybe with the performance, because the
Do,
amount he says damn and oh my God,
do you know
when
what?
things
I'm going
blow
to say
up,
something controversial.
go
I
on.
don't think Ice Cube's performance is the worst thing. I don't think it's the worst thing about the movie. I think it's a terribly written movie. I don't think it's
I
particularly that
think
he's
both.
terrible.
I think both of these statements are correct.
Well, I was thinking like why? So there was a film called Searching, I think it was
Yes,
called,
Yeah, they were
that was
talking.
amazing. That was an
which is
amazing
like a
one.
Screen Life movie.
Exactly.
And obviously that worked. And then before that, there was a horror film called Unfriended. And before
Mm.
that, you had Cloverfield, which was like an alien invasion movie and found footage. And I found myself. I mean, I didn't laugh as much as you, Richard. In it, I was just like, "Oh my god, this is as bad as they say." But I found myself thinking, why did those things work and this doesn't? And I think it's because we're two steps removed. So on Cloverfield, you're watching the found footage, right, of this alien invasion. In this, we're watching Ice Cube watching the found footage.
Exactly.
That doesn't work. But the reason Unfriended works is that the person who's on the dark web, sort of trying to get hold of this woman in this horror film, it's being done to her, so it's immediate. So it's kind of quite scary. And then in Searching, it's much more of a mystery. So it's almost like you're the detective, because you're Searching is about a girl who's gone missing, and the father is opening up the daughter's laptop or PC, trying to work out what's happened to her, reading different things. And so you feel like you're the detective. But in here, I don't know what it's like to be the FBI guy doing the admin for an alien invasion.
Because, you're right.
And it's him just clicking on.
Relate.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing you can relate to, and you don't feel like there's that distance is the problem. The other thing I say, so Ice Cube, his reaction, he is actually acting. I think there are some people who are good actors who should know better, who really feel like they're phoning in their performance in this. It feels like they literally got the job and they just did it on an iPhone and they sent it off.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't feel like the people are really talking to each other at all.
Yes. It does look like a huge working from home project, this whole thing.
The other thing with that, though, so this guy wanted to do this to make us know what COVID was like. That was 5 years ago. I think if this come out end of 2020,
I know what you're getting at. I thought about that. If it's true, if that was the point, that was 2020, and they released this in 2025.
2025. Did it get lost in the post with Amazon?
Exactly. No one at Amazon watch this thing and say there is something wrong. We should do some reshoots or whatever in 5 years.
Was it shot recently, or was it shot during COVID? Do we know if it was shot?
No, it was shot during COVID. They did all of it in COVID.
So this smacks then of something that was so bad that they were like, we don't want to release it. We're not going to write it off like Warner's. I mean, we all go, oh, Warner's. I am always joking. Oh, Warner's are writing off their stuff for tax purposes. If they're this bad, maybe there's something in that. Maybe people look at this going, it doesn't work, and it's just going to damage the brand even more.
Yeah, but
maybe
with
this
this
they were like, let's. But maybe they thought, we'll put it out, and nobody will watch it. And hopefully it will just disappear. They didn't expect it to be like the #1 movie on Amazon.
It's in the top 10. It's in the top 10 in the UK.
It's reputation now. I mean, the only reason I generally don't watch stuff that I know I'm going to hate, because, I'm just going to hate it. And I've watched Jaws: The Revenge and this week. But it becomes so big you can't ignore it sometimes. It's like, well, everybody's talking about this. I need to see what it is that makes it bad. And maybe there's something quite nice about
watching. I disagree. I disagree with you about one point. You said that it's bad, not funny. You said it's not like Batman and Robin. I disagree. I think actually that this is going to become the new Batman and Robin of our generation, because in a way, people will watch it just to make fun of it from now on.
Yeah. And it makes you feel like you can make a movie. It makes me feel like I can make a movie. Like, if anybody can put this out,
yeah, it's very inspirational.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing for me is that, and this is what really gets me, is that there was like a good idea there, a good concept of, okay, the government is spying on us too much. They're taking too much of our information. That's something that could be done with. You could do something good with that, a good idea with that. I mean, it's been done before, sure, but especially in the modern era. But instead, it's like they took that idea and shoehorned an alien invasion idea into it. Yeah. And it's like War of the Worlds, H.G. Wells, all that, how did you get that? Why is that?
Why?
With this? Why are aliens after your browsing history? I don't understand. What's so fascinating about it? Or they even said it's like food to them. I said, what?
Yeah. It's like when, well, I'm not a woman, I don't get birth, but yeah, people, they say that women actually, when they give birth, actually after a few hours, they relive it in a way. And actually, sometimes I relive my experience watching War of the Worlds, and I remember those wonderful moments. There is another great moment where actually that he watches his daughter almost dying, and he managed to move her to a Tesla and control a Tesla, and she drives away. So she's between life and death, and for some reason, I'm guessing that the writer of the movie said, shit, we forgot to have an emotional scene between the two of them. So she's almost dying, and you can see Ice Cube very seriously say, "I just want to say, honey, but I'm sorry I forgot about your baby shower."
Oh yeah.
And I was thinking, do you think it's the right time? Now you really want?
Well, he writes an email. He begins to write an
five
email,
liters of
doesn't
blood.
he? In the middle of that, yeah. Just
You know,
one question.
there's
Just
a bit where
clarify
he's
one.
like, but that's the more interesting part, Richard. There's a bit where he's phoning his daughter. He's phoning his daughter to go, "You're eating the wrong kind of muffins." Like, what? Who's writing this dialogue?
And how long is, I mean, the invasion? Because they actually
the timeline
organize a
is
world
shit.
invasion and a first attack around the world, and then but his daughter has just driven to the hospital and maybe given birth, or in an empty hospital for some reason. It's but that's all done in the course of
A
a
couple
world
of
invasion during
Thank you. In
her
the space of
pregnancy,
2
not
hours.
pregnancy, her
2
giving
hours.
birth.
In 2 hours, the movie,
2 hours.
I'm guessing it's like a 24 TV show. It's a real time. It's a 2-hour TV show. So in the space of 2 hours, our genius Ice Cube has been able actually to get literally all the big leaders of the world in a Zoom call, and also actually to coordinate
A global invasion,
all armies all around the world to
around the
strike
world,
back
yeah.
the aliens. And they are winning, apparently, or at least they are
Oh,
stopping the invasion. All in the space of 2 hours. That's amazing.
Wow, yeah, it's very the power of the internet.
It doesn't bode well for Amazon's Bond if it's just going to be a spy on Zoom. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like they've got to do something better than that for the next thing. I don't know if they're going to make like other Spielberg films like remade as screenlight, because obviously this was like a Tom Cruise Spielberg film 20 years ago.
No, so it's a story that's been done many times before. I mean,
yeah.
Oh
yes, obviously, yeah. But that's probably the most famous recent version.
Which then draws it to comparisons like the Tom Cruise version, and you've done it in the 50s. Big budgets. I mean, they call for big budgets, and this is that. Well, let's do the complete opposite, and let's really ground it down, to make it realist.
I mean, I was just gonna say, like, you could have Andrew. You just ruined my joke, but I'm just gonna do it anyway.
Oh, sorry.
So I was going to go. You could have E-teams. Instead of ET, you could have E-teams. You could have Reddit of the Lost Ark. You could have Indiana Jones and the Temple of Zoom. You could have West Side Instagram Story. You could have Empire of the Sun website. You could have Amstrad. You could have BFG Bay. You could have The Adventures of Tintin on LinkedIn. You could have LinkedIn. You could have Minority Report Hub. And you could have private mind saving.
You've been working on this as an email, haven't you?
I had more fun writing that whilst I was watching the film.
I hope they make a sequel. Actually,
yeah.
Will we be getting Ice Cube at the Prince Charles Cinema doing midnight showings?
Yes,
exactly.
I can imagine this.
I think it
could be the new room, as you say. I think he has enough of a sense of humor to do it. Right, well, I think we've called the end of this emergency Zoom call, which I called on. Thanks to our regular hosts for quite a spread of titles this year. So, thanks to Richard, Andrew, and James, and for you. See you next time. Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this film and TV review.com episode. Catch the latest film and TV reviews, together with regular episode content from the world of film and TV every week. See you soon. Would you like to reach our film and TV review podcast audience? Do you have a product or service of interest to film and TV home consumers or followers of the entertainment industry? Have a film or show production to publicize? For affordable price plans for all budgets, get in touch and find out about our introductory advertising options. Reach our audience of film and TV viewers and visit our site contact page at filmandtvreview.com, or you can email us at business@filmandtvreview.com. Reach out today.